episode on Shamila Talkies. Today I will be talking to Vijay Sriram, who's currently the VP of Paytm Payments Bank. He has a rich work experience in the IT world with about 8 years of experience with Amazon, 10 years of experience with Oracle. He's also worked with a startup which is the 100th unicorn called Open. And like I said, he's currently the VP of Paytm Payments Bank. Without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. Hey Vijay, very good evening. How are you doing today?
Hey, very good evening, Shamila. I'm doing good.
Great. Thank you, Vijay, for agreeing to give a talk on my YouTube channel. This is the first one for the year, so thanks again.
It's a great opportunity for me. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing would be a quick introduction about yourself. We can get started with that.
Sure. My name is Vijay Sriram. I'm a native Bangalorean, born, brought up in Bangalore. Did all my schooling, college, and my entire career I've been working from Bangalore itself. Worked in IT industry for close to 2 decades. Started my career with HP, followed by a decade at Oracle, and then Amazon, and then I worked in a startup called as Open, and now currently I'm working as a vice president in Paytm Payments Bank.
Okay, that's an amazing career journey. Lovely. Okay, in continuation to that, the first question related to that was, how did you step into IT? Was it your ambition or did it just happen because that was the norm during your times?
Yeah, I kind of, in the early 2000s, the IT or the computer science field was kind of a hot thing happening. And my brother also is an engineer by profession and is currently working in US at Google. He is also, being an engineer, I kind of followed his footsteps, and it helped me kind of move ahead faster. And that's how I kind of generated my interest through him. And I also loved maths and logical problem solving, aptitude kind of things. So though I got a very good ranking in the medical entrance test, I still chose engineering and did my BTech in PESIT, and then did my master's from Illinois Institute of Technology, and made my career in IT.
Okay, perfect. That's a very prospective one. Lovely. Okay, so since you've been in the IT for so long, right, and worked with big companies, so as a leader, what do you believe are the most critical qualities required to succeed in today's corporate world?
I think over time things don't change so drastically, and I believe one of the key things for anybody to succeed in their career, be it corporate life or whatever job or business they are doing, and be it like decade back now or in decade future, I think one of the key things for any person to succeed or any leader to succeed is the aspect of or a sense of ownership. With a sense of ownership, you also get a lot of responsibility. You start being more accountable for the things that you own and kind of deliver, and naturally a lot of things fall in place for you. A sense of ownership will also help you kind of look at the entire problem in a much bigger scope and not be limited by what you are supposed to own or your team is supposed to deliver. A simple example being that if you're working on a product launch, right, while you are owning the part of deliveries, as in the tech aspect, being a technical person, I'm talking about that, but if you expand your scope to know about what's happening in the entire project launch in terms of the launch plan, in terms of how the go-to-market is being planned, what's the sales, marketing, or the business strategies, then you'll have a better understanding of the whole problem space, which helps you to kind of look through the gaps in the layers of communication, or understand from the end user perspective, are you building the right product or the feature? Because in generally, if you see this, there's a translation of the requirements that happens between product, business, and the tech teams. So as a leader, it's very essential for us to own the product and start looking at from the end user perspective, so that you'll be able to deliver it better and deliver it more apt feature to the customers rather than just delivering a tech product.
Okay, so basically it's getting a holistic view from the start till the scratch to what the customer experiences.
Correct.
Not just what is your core area of deliverable.
Correct.
But
Correct.
tying the knots and, tying the strings and seeing the bigger picture is what it is.
Exactly.
Great. I'm sure you've done these things in your career. That's where this is coming from.
I assume that experience.
Sure, sure. So, in continuation to that, right? So, based on your experience, what's one factor that's majorly overrated in the IT industry, and the exact opposite of which, what is underrated?
Okay, I think over a period of time and even my own personal experience, I see that uh, the bookish knowledge or the knowledge that's put on paper is something that slightly overrated, I feel, in terms of how the candidate selections happens, the filtering happens and things like that. I think there has to be a more emphasis on what the candidate, he or she can bring to the table, the kind of evaluation being done, the kind of experiences they are bringing to the table. That is more important. But lot of the times I see organizations filter out the candidates based on the resumes and the just kind of the content being put in there. So, and I feel that's kind of overrated, and the very underrated part is the aspect of team building and the aspect of bonding within the team, how the team is very collaborative among themselves. Because the success of any team and the success of any person on the project is a team effort at the end of the day. So the team bonding is not a quarterly exercise in terms of a lunch or a dinner or kind of an offsite. It should be more of a day-to-day exercise, right? How a person is welcomed within the team when a new person joins the team, how he feels involved within the team from day one, what kind of support he or she is getting within the team, what kind of ramp-up plan is being created for that person. All of them shows in the aspects of how the working culture within the team is. Team culture, the team bonding is slightly underrated within the organization, and most of the organizations speak about it, but they do a little less about it. So if organizations start focusing on the team building aspects more, I think the organization would succeed in all possible cases.
Okay, yeah. I think I would completely agree with that, because most of the times I think sometimes the team building is just like a check mark saying, hey, quarterly team outing kind of a thing, right? But I think the more emphasis, like what you mentioned, is about having it on a daily basis of what actually takes it to deliverables. And the previous factor of saying, not more of the bookish and what's written in paper, I think it's basically around like, the top 3 colleges or the tier 1 cities. I think we do find a budding young generation even in like tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and yeah, thanks for pointing that out there. Cool. So moving on to the next one. Alright, so how do you approach decision making in complex and high pressure business scenarios, which I think you must have seen more than one in your career until now?
Indeed, I think every person, irrespective of whatever the role they are playing as an individual contributor or as a manager or a leader of an organization or a department, right? I think they would have seen the growth of their career with the size and complexity of the problems or situations they are dealing with increasing. So I think one of the key things for somebody to start looking at the complex pieces or in terms of making certain decisions in those situations is about leveraging on the data that is available, right? I think one of the key aspects is the data or the metrics in terms of factors that helps you make a decision. As simple as being is number of customers onboarded or number of customer tickets that is being reduced by building certain things, or it could be as simple as the top line and the bottom line revenue metrics, or it could be as simple as the infrastructure cost versus the benefits a product comes with, right? So is it like useful versus is it like helping the product launch or not? I mean, is it really helping solve the problem at the core and at what cost? So all of those aspects really make a play. And I think if anybody can focus on the metrics or data, that really helps them make a decision better. And if they are leveraging on data to make decisions, I think naturally the impact is less, or there'll be more I would say probability of success in their projects. Okay,
so basically you're saying it's not like the gut feel or I think this is the right way to do it, but back it up with the data that you're seeing and not take a full-fledged plunge into it, but go like a phased approach as well.
Yeah, but sometimes there are situations wherein probably if we are getting into something new in the industry, they may not have the references. or they may not have any precursor to look up to, right? And people get into this phase of analysis to derive the data, and it should not become a phase of a paralysis where you get stuck there in terms of doing analysis. You should also look at how can I build something small, test the waters quickly, and either fail fast or leverage the test experiment to derive some analytical data. So that helps you to understand whether the feature was really helpful with a small cohort of customers that you are testing with, or whether the functionality that we are trying to solve, or as simple as a problem am I trying to solve, did really solve the problem or not. So you can start with small, and if it is helping, then you can go bigger. I think it's always good to have an end vision of where we want to reach, and build it incrementally over the phases by leveraging the data or the impact that you are generating and the metrics you are generating at every phase, so that we can naturally build that next phase of the idea by making the informed decisions rather than just going by the gut feel, saying, okay, this product looks good, I'll build the end state product right away, and then you figure out that you build the wrong product altogether.
Got it. So I think this is again getting a holistic view, which was related to one of the previous responses that you gave, right? And then kind of backtracking, so you also know when you do an analysis, or rather not analysis, putting a phased approach, so you know you're going in the right way, or if you find some misses, you kind of make those corrections for the next phase.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I'm sure this is again, you're talking from experience, and this has actually worked well for you in your career.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. So another question based on experience, and you know the trends changing so fast. So what would you suggest a beginner to go with? MNCs like the ones that you worked, or also startups, one of them that you worked, and why?
I think this is something that people keep asking me a lot, and over the course of my career, I've met a lot of freshers, youngsters who have also had this dilemma in terms of where do they start. And when I've gone to campus hiring to a lot of colleges, while they're keen, they keep asking this question, whether should I join your startup, should I join your MNC or not, types, right? I think one of the key analogy I've built over a period of time is that joining an MNC is like starting your career with a test cricket, and joining probably a startup is like starting your career with a T20 match. Because in a test cricket, it's a 5-day match, and it's not just one skill that comes into play. There's a lot of things in terms of cricketing skills, your strategical thinking, the strategies that you make, the perseverance, the patience, and the game that the opponents play on the field, off the field, a lot of things, right? It's a 5-day course, so there's a lot of things that goes in that 5 days. Versus a T20 match, which is mostly like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and the expectations in like a T20 is more about go and hit, right? If you can't hit, then you don't go onto the field because we need score. So the skills that somebody can learn in a MNC is much bigger, and skills that somebody can learn in a startup is different. I wouldn't say it's small, but it's definitely different. Startup is more like an evolved version of a college for some people. So people in the college days would have done like projects which is not probably industry ready or production ready, right? So most of the startups would be working in the model of deliver. Right? They wouldn't probably want to focus much on the quality, the longevity of the product itself, or even in terms of the readability of the code. For example, if somebody writes the code, can another person join the team and understand your code, right? I think there is not much of emphasis. So if you are somebody is very smart, obviously they'll figure out depending on whichever field you leave them. But I think for most of them, if they get an opportunity to start their career with an MNC, I think they should leverage that opportunity to build that basic skills, and then you can see whether you want to make your career in T20 or test cricket. But the learning opportunities are very different. I would suggest, based on how the person feels, they should take on, irrespective of what the opportunities are. Don't go by because somebody gave you an offer in a startup. Don't go to the startup right away, or even for an MNC. But base your decision based on what you feel, like what you want to learn. Because the initial years of anybody is about learning. It's not about making money or delivering something, right? It's about learning. Is the field helping you to learn more? And that's where somebody has to make their choices.
Agreed. I think that your initial career kind of, sets up the foundation for the rest of your life, right? So I think, like what you mentioned, I think there are learnings in both MNCs and startups, but they vary and also depends on the individual's ability to kind of cope up, like the analogy of test cricket or a T20, right? Some people are very good at T20s and some people can only probably play test cricket kind of thing, right? So, well, I think that was a very well said analogy. Anybody and everybody in India at least can definitely relate to cricket, right?
Indeed.
Thank you so much for that. And the final one, what's your stress coping mechanism if you at all feel stressed ever?
I think the stress is part of any job. I think there's no job probably without stress. It's about what you kind of make out of it. If you can go deeper to understand the reason behind why you're feeling stressed or why this problem is creating stress for you, maybe you'll be able to understand that better. So all probably you need to do is just step back and look at the problem from a different dimension and look at the reasoning why this is probably creating such a kind of a severity or a criticality at point in time, and probably address that rather than addressing the symptom. I think that will solve a lot of problems from a stress situation. But still, the work itself can be tiring at times, can be stressful for many people. I think there's a lot of mechanisms. For me, what has worked well is once I kind of come home, I kind of try to detach from work with family time. So the time that I spend with the family, with my wife and parents and son, helps me to kind of detach from the work and start afresh the next day. And the other aspect is I'm also involved in the kind of a physical fitness. So I'm a marathon runner and I'm part of a running group called as Jainagar Jaguars. And I head the Vijaynagar location running group, and I have around 40 people whom I also mentor and guide in their fitness journey and running. So being part of that group helps me to kind of have our own fitness goals, running goals, and guiding the team there and being part of that journey helps me to kind of relieve the stress and focus on that aspect of fitness and helps me to kind of recover and get back to work and do better the next day. So a combination of family support, physical workouts, and stepping back and looking at the problem afresh helps you to kind of relieve stress in multiple dimensions.
Okay, I think that was very well explained. The concept of being managing a running group by itself, not enough that you're managing teams at work. I think you're also open to doing it outside of work. But the way you kind of plan is saying, hey, focus on it, and then you have set goals for everything. That kind of explains it. Thank you so much, Vijay. That really was helpful. Okay, so what we will now do is before that, we will do a rapid fire round. Okay, so this will be a one-word answer as the name says, or it could be a single statement.
Sure.
Good to go?
Sure.
Perfect. The first one will be, what's your top networking tip?
I think talking to people and being empathetic about their situation or whatever they are working with helps you to build a better network and more stronger network, I would say.
Okay, so it's not mostly about reposting things on LinkedIn? Thank you. Second one, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day at work?
I think we covered probably earlier. I think more of family time and any kind of associated habits helps. But for me, the physical fitness, the workouts, the running is one of the ways.
It's basically your family and running.
Yep.
Great. What's your preferred method of communication? Email, phone, or in person?
I would always prefer in person and followed by calls and emails in that order.
Okay, that kind of sets the tone, I guess, right? Yeah. What's the best career advice you have ever received?
Focus on customers. That's the aspect that I've learned over a period of time, and that's something that I received maybe few years before, early in my career, I would say, which has helped me to kind of shape better. And to the aspect I talked about ownership.
Mm.
I think if you start focusing on the customers, you'll start
Yeah, yeah.
thinking in that dimension from the day one, and you start owning things.
Yeah, I think that kind of ties to the entire conversation we've had about having a holistic view
Yes.
and the accountability, and also you saying when we talked about whether new joiners should take an MNC, it's the foundation, and
Yes.
I think that's kind of been spoken throughout your entire career of how customer focus has actually helped you grow as well. Great. One word to describe your leadership style.
I think simple. It's own it and empower others in the team.
Perfect. Okay, the last one. What's your favorite quote that inspires you?
This is the quote that I've learned as a child, and I keep talking about it with my son also.
Okay.
It's in Kannada. It says, "Kai kesaradare bai masu." It just simply means that if you're working hard, then you see the results of it. Reap the benefits.
Perfect. I think that's so much seen in what you've been doing and what you're currently doing. I'm sure you're reaping all the benefits of your hard work and you'll continue to do so.
You will do it, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, the final one for the day, Vijay. A couple of your tips for career growth for youngsters and people who are viewing this.
I think, as I said, start owning anything that you're working on, right?
Okay.
Irrespective of where you are, what phase of the life you are, start owning things. And focus on the learning. Never lose the sight of learning, because you never know what you will grow into in the next few years. But always keep a lookout for learning new things.
Okay.
In your own domain, in your scope of things. And one of the key things that I keep emphasizing is never look down on somebody.
Okay.
And never look up to somebody, because you don't know what's your potential, and don't be limited by looking up to somebody. You can take references, but don't be stopped by that.
Okay, perfect. That was brilliant, Vijay. Cool. Cool. Thank you so much, Vijay. I think this conversation was definitely useful. I have great takeaways from this, and I'm sure other viewers also will have great takeaways from this. And thanks for all your time and talking about your experience.
Thank you, Sharmila, for this opportunity.
Sure.
I think I had great time talking about my experiences and my journey. And I wish good luck to you and all your viewers. Hopefully there is something that they can pick from this conversation. And thank you.
Definitely, Vijay. All the very best and have a lovely year ahead.
Same to you.
Thank you. Hey everybody, I believe we've had great takeaways from this conversation that we had with Vijay Sriram. One of the major factors that he emphasized was about having key ownership of anything that you do, keeping the customer experience in mind and not just concentrating on what is your output, but looking at it from a customer's perspective so you can see that point of view and add more quality to your deliverables. That kind of definitely relates to the ownership that he emphasized as point one. And most importantly, it's also about keep learning new things, because there's always something that's trending and you need to keep up to the latest technology so that you can survive in the industry. Please leave your comments here and talk to you soon again.